Alright, so today I want to introduce you to the Bambee ball python. The Bambee actually consists of two genes, the bamboo and the spider. And let me tell you, when it comes to really impressive morphs, I'd say the Bambee is probably the top on the list as far as a visually impressive combination. As a matter of fact, the snake around my neck here, this is a bamboo ball python. This is Bobby. And if you actually breed Bobby to a spider, 25% of the time you'll actually get a Bambee. And if you're trying to work other genes into the Bambee, you kind of have to be careful because the bamboo is in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So if you actually take a Bambee and you breed it to like a lesser or a Mojave or a Russo or a Mystic or a Phantom or anything in the blue-eyed leucistic, you'll actually end up with, probably 25% of the time, you'll actually end up with an all-white snake with blue eyes, which isn't a bad thing in some cases, but if you're actually working with multi-gene combos, like 5 or 6 or 7 genes, the all-white snake essentially masks all other genes that are in the snake. So today I want to jump over to the internet and I want to show you the potential of the Bambee ball python. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here on Morphmarket.com and I want to start with the bamboo ball python. The bamboo is one component of the Bambee. As a matter of fact, this is actually a picture of Bobby, the snake that I have around my neck at the beginning and the end of the videos. And kind of the cool thing about Bobby, you may not have noticed this, but if you look really close on his sides, he has these hearts on his sides in the patterns. And a lot of people actually notice that when I have him around my neck. They're like, hey, that snake actually has hearts on the sides, on both sides. It is pretty awesome. And if you actually look really close at the bamboo and compare it to the spider, they're actually really similar. Both of them can have the white coming up, almost looks like a calico coming up the sides of the bamboo and the spider. And you can actually see on the spider it has a little bit more of a spider web pattern up on the top of the snake, and I'd say the bamboo is almost like a spider web pattern but not quite as broken up as the spider. And the other kind of the difference between the two is that the spider really has a lot more color. You'll actually notice a lot more kind of a yellowish orange color in the spiders versus bamboos. A lot of times they can actually almost look kind of like an axanthic type color. And here's the bamboo, and if you actually compare it to the spider, this is what a spider looks like, and you definitely tell the difference between a bamboo and a spider. It's really obvious, and definitely you can actually see the pattern right up on top. It's almost like just something like someone dripped paint on top of the snake and it kind of dripped down the sides. You can definitely see, you know, in the bamboo you have a lot darker of a color and a lot more white coming in on the sides. It's almost like a brighter contrast between the two. And if you actually take a bamboo and you breed it to a spider, take a look at this crazy snake. This is a Bambee, which is a bamboo spider. And this is one of the most amazing combos that I've actually ever seen with the bamboo. And the bamboo is, I'd say it's kind of limited because it's in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, and a lot of times it's really visually dominant. So if you actually mix other genes in with bamboo, sometimes you can actually struggle to have those genes break through the bamboo. But if you actually mix it with the spider is also visually dominant, and they almost complement each other and compete for dominance, and you can definitely tell they work together really well, the bamboo and the spider. So what I want to do is I want to mix other genes into the Bambee so you can really see the true potential of the bamboo and the spider mixed together. So this is the Pastel. The Pastel is a codominant morph. It's actually yellow and it really reduces and sometimes it actually jumbles up the pattern. Here's what happens if you mix Pastel in with the Bambee. You get a bamboo bumblebee, which is pretty cool. I really like the name Bamboo Bumblebee. It makes for a really visually stunning snake. It seems like every single Bambee that I see over here is really super impressive. And if you actually look at the name, the Bamboo Bumblebee, essentially what we're looking at is the combination of the spider and the Pastel is called a bumblebee. So you can name this the Bamboo Bumblebee, or you could name it the Pastel Bambee because the bamboo and the spider is the Bambee. So here's another one. This is actually a bamboo killer bee, which is actually 2 copies of the pastel gene. When you actually had 2 copies, you bring out more yellow color, so you can definitely see a lot more yellow coming out of the snake. And with the super pastel, you also kind of jumble up the pattern a little bit more. And you can definitely tell, you know, the spider and the bamboo are really kind of overwhelming the super pastel. You can see all 3 genes and they work really well together, but it's not like they just really overpower it. It seems like it works really well with a lot of genes. So here is the Pinstripe ball python. The Pinstripe is usually a really visually dominant mutation. It's pretty much the goldest snake that you can get. It's actually a dominant mutation, so if you breed a Pinstripe to something else, half the offspring come out as Pinstripe. Here's what happens if you mix Pinstripe in with a Bambee, and take a look at this. This is really awesome. It is a really cool combo, and as a matter of fact, you can actually see quite a bit of the Pinstripe actually coming out. You can see a lot of the gold. You can see all 3 genes in this snake, the bamboo, the spider, and the Pinstripe. Makes for a really amazing combo. And this one's actually called the bamboo spinner. So the Pinstripe and the spider is called the spinner. You could also name it the Pinstripe Bambee. There's several different names for a lot of these combos, or you can call it the bamboo spider Pinstripe. So take a look at this snake. This is actually the last snake with the addition of Pastel. So if you actually take Pastel and add it to Pinstripe, you get what is known as a lemon blast, which is a really strong visual appearance. And you take a lemon blast and you mix it in with the Bambee, and this is really a stunning snake. It is really awesome. And I've actually made a lot of these bamboo lemon blasts, and when they're really small hatchlings, they almost look metallic, like someone cast them out of some metal or something. They don't even look real, and you can definitely tell in this case the bamboo and the lemon blast are really working well together, and then the spider is really breaking up the pattern and bringing a lot more of the white up the sides. So this is kind of an interesting mix when you mix in the cinnamon. The cinnamon is really dark morph. If you actually breed 2 cinnamons together, you get the super cinnamon, which is a really dark brown, almost jet black snake in some cases, and completely patternless. As a matter of fact, it's allelic with black pastel. So if you actually mix the cinnamon and the black pastel, you get the 8-ball, which is a really black snake with no pattern at all. It's pretty awesome. Here's what happens if you take the cinnamon and you mix it in with the Bambee. Take a look at this. You can definitely tell the combination of the bamboo and the spider is really just dominating the cinnamon, and really kind of hides the darkness of the morph. If you actually mix cinnamon in a lot of combos, you'll actually get a really dark background, and it's kind of amazing. You just get a little bit of dark. It makes for a really impressive combo, kind of unexpected in a lot of cases. So here is an Enchi. The Enchi works really well with this combination too. The Enchi essentially reduces the pattern and kind of almost looks like a spider in some cases, but not quite as reduced as a spider. And Enchi can be really variable. Sometimes it reduces the pattern just a little bit. Sometimes it reduces it a lot. I'd say in this case, this is like an extreme, a really nice high extreme example of an Enchi. And a lot of times when you mix Enchi in with other combinations, you bring out a lot of yellows and oranges. It really enhances the color. You can tell there's a little bit of color here, but when you mix it in with other combos, usually it really pops out the yellows and oranges. And here's what happens when you mix the Enchi with the Bambee, and take a look at this. You get a bamboo stinger bee. It's kind of interesting. Some of these names, the shortcut for an Enchi is the stinger bee. The stinger bee is actually the Enchi and the spider together. Really reduces the spider pattern on the back of the snake. It's kind of an interesting combo. As a matter of fact, on this one, it's really interesting. You're getting these little spots right along the sides. Makes for a really interesting combo. And you can actually see this little, this kind of gives the spider away right here. This little kind of curly Q right on top. That is definitely from the spider. In a lot of cases, the spider actually has some interesting head stamps too. That's another way you can actually tell if you have spider in the mix. So here is the chocolate, another dark morph, and the chocolate works well with a lot of other jeans. It's actually a really dark morph, similar to the cinnamon, and if you actually mix chocolate in with the Bambee, it's kind of interesting. Here's another dark jean that is completely kind of wiped out from the combination of the bamboo and the spider. It's interesting that it really doesn't darken the snake that much, but you're really bringing out a lot of color instead of getting a really dark background. It's kind of a weird anomaly with the Bambee and the dark jeans. As a matter of fact, I saw one over here with DJI, and I saw a whole bunch of other dark jeans, and it seemed like it just dominated all the darkness, and you really can't make a Bambee really dark, even working in some of the darkest jeans. It's pretty amazing. So here is the yellow belly. I'd say the yellow belly is kind of a sleeper morph because it almost looks like a normal ball python. You can pick out little traits of the yellow belly, but if you actually mix it in with other combinations, you get some really impressive, usually really kind of brings out a lot of the yellow in the snakes, and it kind of fools you because yellow belly, you'd think it would actually have a yellow belly, and it doesn't really have a yellow belly on the snake on a yellow belly. They're kind of hard to pick out. I'd say, you know, some people can pick them out kind of by the markers and the flames coming up the sides, and there's others just subtle yellow belly markers, but if you actually mix it in with other jeans, it's pretty impressive. Here's what happens when you mix yellow belly in with a Bambee. Take a look at this crazy snake. Essentially, it's a Bambee with a whole bunch of yellow, and in this case, the yellow belly really shines, really brings out some crazy yellow. It's kind of surprising that the yellow belly is actually bringing out this much color. It almost looks like it has like Pastel or Orange Dream and Yellow Belly and a whole bunch of other jeans. It's pretty amazing that just the yellow belly is actually bringing in this much yellow. So here is the leopard ball python, and when it comes to the leopard, I'd say the leopard is another kind of a pseudo dark morph. If you actually mix it in with other jeans that are dark to begin with, it really darkens the jean, but if it's not dark to begin with, the leopard doesn't really darken it, and pretty much in all cases, the leopard will really jumble up the pattern. I'd say in most cases, it's strictly a pattern enhancer when it comes to the leopard. Here's what happens when you mix leopard in with a Bambee. You actually, it's kind of surprising. You know, I was kind of expecting it to be all jumbled up, and instead you're getting almost like these, it almost looks like rib bones or something down the back of the snake. It makes for a really crazy combo, kind of totally unexpected in a lot of these combos. You know, I would expect it kind of more of a spotted or jumbled up pattern from the leopard into this mix. It's pretty amazing. All right, so this is the sugar ball python. The sugar is essentially the same thing as the calico. And the difference between the sugar and the calico, some people think it's different lines of the same gene. Some people think it's actually the same gene. And essentially what the sugar does is it brings up white on the sides of the ball python. You can kind of see a little bit of white in this case. Sometimes it's just a little bit of white on the very bottom, and sometimes it's really intense white, similar with the calico that's coming almost, you know, maybe 3/4 of the way up in really high white examples of the sugar. And here's what happens if you mix the sugar in with the Bambee, and take a look at this. This is actually an expected combination, because essentially what it's doing is taking all the patterns on the side and really bringing it up to the top of the snake, and it makes for a really amazing combo where you actually just kind of have a reduced, almost looks like, you know, like Blade or something, where it really reduces the pattern up on top of the snake. So here is the banana ball python. The banana, a lot of people consider it to be the same as the coral glow. As a matter of fact, if you actually take a look at this ad, this is actually a banana / coral glow. And a lot of people actually put both genes over here on Morphmarket because people are looking for one or the other. And this snake actually doesn't contain both genes. It contains one or the other. So if you're actually searching for a banana, a lot of people put both, you know, so if you actually have a coral glow, it'll actually come up as well. As a matter of fact, if you read the description, it says this banana is spectacular. So this is a banana, and he just put in coral glow so people could actually search for it over here on Morphmarket. But essentially what the banana is, it's a lot of people thought it was actually a version of albino when it first came out, and come to find out it's actually a co-dominant morph instead of a recessive. Really awesome. So if you actually take a banana, breed it to something else, half the offspring come out as bananas. And here's what happens if you mix banana in with a Bambee. Take a look at this snake. This is probably one of my favorite combos over here. This is a banana bamboo bumblebee. As a matter of fact, on this one, this actually has banana and pastel in it. And kind of the tricky thing is if you actually look back at the one where we added just pastel, you almost can't even see the pastel in the mix when you're actually looking at a Bambee. So I'd say most of this yellow in this case is probably due to the banana. So I wanted to show you one more crazy snake here at the end. This one just kind of blew me away. This one's totally unexpected. So I'm going to start with a pastel clown. So this is actually a little bit more difficult to hit because the clown is recessive. You actually need 2 copies of the clown gene, and it also has pastel in the mix. And when you actually mix the pastel with the clown, you get this crazy looking snake. I mean, look at the head on this crazy snake and the pattern. That is really one of the most amazing snakes. And that's why clowns are so just really in high demand, because you mix them with something as simple as pastel and you can make some really crazy looking combos. This is what happens when you mix a pastel clown into a Bambee. Take a look at this snake. This is totally unexpected. And you know, if someone actually handed me the snake, I don't think I could pick out one single gene in this snake. It's pretty amazing. Sometimes you get these combinations where you just throw a whole bunch of genes together and then you're just kind of scratching your head, what did I just produce? And you kind of have to look back at the pairing or maybe prove them out, or maybe if you actually, we're pretty much getting to the point where, you know, we have hundreds of thousands of ball pythons over here on Morphmarket, and we've actually seen a lot of these combinations. But if you're actually breaking new ground and you're just, you know, making like the world's first and things like that, and you pop out a snake like this, it can be really confusing and really surprising in a lot of cases. This is a really amazing snake. Alright, so it is time for the question of the day. And Prepper Girl asks, can your chicken egg incubator be used for snake eggs? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, in my very last video, I actually showed my chicken eggs that I'm hatching with my Arcom 50 Pro. It's a really high-end, really fancy incubator, but the problem with that incubator is the maximum humidity only goes up to 70%. And for ball python eggs, you really need to be like between 90 and 95. Some people go all the way up to 100%. I pretty much have my ball python eggs at 100% in the incubator when I put the press and seal over the top. I actually built my own incubator for my snake eggs, and there's actually an incubator made by Arcom that is designed for reptile eggs, and I'm not sure how many eggs they'll actually hold. You know, ball python eggs are pretty big. You could maybe put 1 clutch of eggs in there if it wasn't a really big female. And I actually found it over on the internet, over on Amazon, and I can put a link in the description below. I think the last time I looked it was about $300 for that incubator, and actually went up to 95% humidity, and it actually it's pretty awesome. You can dial it in to like geckos or snakes like corn snakes and stuff, and you can actually just set it and go. It doesn't turn the eggs at all, but it controls the humidity and it controls the temperature, and it actually shows you exactly how many days to hatch. And let me tell you, I absolutely love my Arcom incubator. It's pretty awesome. They're really expensive, but if you just have a few snakes, you'll have a few corn snakes, or maybe just one ball python that you're breeding, you can actually just hit the snake setting and hit go, and then just come back and you'll have baby snakes in there. It's pretty much a foolproof way to raise your reptiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with some drone footage. It was a really nice day outside, and I dusted off my old drone, flew it up in the sky and around my property, got some really awesome footage. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.